Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for O'Finnegan, Ophira Eisenberg, Christian Finnegan. This is the third week in a row they've joined me. I've just told you about our dates. We're going out on tour. Happy TGIF, Ophira, Christian. Thank you for joining me.
I'm so excited that our new year includes touring.
Bated breath. Yes. I mean, touring is such a misnomer for comedians. I mean, unless you are like literally going from city to city, it's like, we're doing gigs.
I know, so funny. You're so right. I'll do one show and someone will be like, "Where are you on tour right now?" And I'm like, "As in, will I drive to somewhere else in the tri-state area this week?" Probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or, I'm just excited that we're going to be back out on the comedy circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the circuit.
Yeah, you walk into a theater and you high five with the other people that are going the other way on the circuit. They're leaving. You come in.
The comedy Autobahn, as it were.
You stay in the same condo that so and so just stayed in, and we all know who I'm talking about. Could be
that so and so.
Million people.
Yep.
I don't know who you're thinking of, but we should just joke about the comedian we least like to follow the comedy condo in. Whoever that person is.
As a lady, I always get asked now, "Would you prefer not to stay in the comedy condo?" And I almost always say, "That is correct."
Yeah. I haven't. I feel like I've gotten super lucky. I haven't stayed in that many comedy condos. Maybe because I give off an effete preciousness that makes them
You seem fragile.
Yeah.
Just explain. The comedy condo is basically maybe a 3-bedroom condo or 2-bedroom
crash pad.
Yes.
Yeah, that houses the comedians for the long weekend or maybe sometimes the whole week. And I haven't either, Christian. I've only done it, I think, twice, and it was.
I think the club. I don't think they're as common as they used to be. I think because they got such a disgusting rep. But yeah, the idea is just that it's cheaper for a club to just rent a crappy apartment than it is to pay for hotel rooms every week.
Yeah. May I say though, when I went to Denver, this was back in August, and I was working with another comic who is huge, and they were like, "Okay, the other comic refused the comedy condo, but will you take it?" And I felt, for whatever reason, I felt like I had to say yes. And let me tell you, it was a brand new condo in a luxury building. It was decorated like a children's playpen. That was whatever. But it had a balcony looking at the mountains. There was an amazing gym and a hot tub. And I was like, like it was the nicest place I've ever stayed.
Yeah.
So I was everyone, shh, quiet.
Right. Hey, let me just tell you, Ophira, every time you're moving your microphone, and when you do move it, it makes noise, and the editor in me it screams out for relief. And so I throw back to you to say, what's the worst mic technique you've seen a comedian? What is the most annoying thing a comic does with the mic? Christian and Ophira, both of you, please take that.
Okay. Well, I can tell you very clearly, given that as my role as the husband of a venue owner, I've had to change out mic cords time after time after time because this is so annoying. Comedians who hold the microphone so that the cord bends at the juncture where it meets the actual.
Never thought of that.
It's the worst. I wish I could show an explanation because you'll see some people, and I don't know if they want to give it sort of a Dick Cavett feel or something, but they'll almost hold the microphone like cone, like, so that the base of the cord gets bent at like a 90-degree angle in their hand. Ooh. And it is something I see comedians do. It's always young male comedians. I think it's like the same vibe of the comedian who wants to sit on the stool because they think it makes them look casual or sort of like, it's like jazz, man. And it fries microphone cords, and it's created so much work for me over the years, having to string mic cords through the ceiling of the venue because some open micer wanted to feel like a jazz comedian.
I feel real uncomfortable right now because I've been experimenting with stool sitting lately.
Listen, I feel like if you've done it long enough, you've earned it. I just see way too many like 3-year comedians try to.
That's different. You're right.
Force a feeling of casualness by like, I'll just sit down on the stool.
Totally disagree. Okay. Stand up. Hey, wait a second. Isn't your show called Stand Up with Pete? Stand up on the stage, Pete.
Yes.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
when the three of us are together, I'm now going to purposely sit there so that the two of you who follow me can use it as content to ridicule me for. It's fine.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
I do my entire
actually.
act kneeling in a prayer position on stage.
I'm in Downward Dog.
This coming week, I just imagine that doing comedy in downward. This coming week, Ophira, you will be traveling to Portland, Oregon, all the way across the country on an airplane.
I'm so scared.
Christian, you just recently flew to Northern California for a gig a couple weeks ago. And so, I haven't flown that far since pre-pandemic. And I want to know your concerns about it, or maybe you should go first and tell her what she's in for, Christian. Have you done it yet, Ophira? Wait, you went to Canada.
I went to Vancouver. Yes.
Yeah,
although
that's a long ass flight.
it felt too long. I mean, basically, after hour 5 or something, I was ready to throw, a brick through the window. But there was I don't know why, but sorry, Americans, but I was like, this flight is mostly Canadians. And so something about it felt chilled out. But I will say that it was empty. It was an empty flight both ways.
Well, I flew to Florida on Black Friday, and I was in
Whoa.
when I flew to Northern California, I was in first class because of the corporate gig, and they paid for it, so it was like a slightly more genteel experience. But Florida, I was in with the hoi polloi.
Yeah,
and it was annoying. I mean, I definitely as always, whoever the biggest guy in the flight is will always end up seated next to me.
The old like, who's going to sit beside me gamble as you watch every single person walk down the aisle, and you're like, no. Oh, okay, good.
This might be.
Oh my god. No. Okay.
This might be where our worldviews clash again, because I usually think like the hottest woman or a very connected guy that's going to help with me with my career is going to sit next to me, and you guys apparently are.
What? How do you think that way?
I manifest.
You have a seat half full mentality.
But does it happen?
Every time.
No.
I usually get a hand job.
Really?
Almost.
Okay, you know what?
From the biggest guy on the plane.
We're going to put this to the test. I am going to start repeating continuously in my brain as a mantra until I leave on Monday that I will be sat beside someone who's going to radically help me in some career, personal, whatever way.
You never know.
Things.
When you think that way, you tend to then maybe make a connection with that person, and then that door opens up. Next thing you know, you're doing a documentary about the Arctic with them.
A documentary about the
Arctic?
What?
Are you microdosing? What's going on with you?
I sat next to a guy who was a documentary filmmaker, and he asked me like maybe work with him on this thing. It wasn't really a good opportunity. It wasn't really a realistic thing.
That's interesting.
But it was a fascinating. I turned out to interview him about another documentary that he had done, and it was a great thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is, you should write a Pete Dominick, Stand Up with Pete Dominick inspirational book.
Why? So you can.
I was going to say throw pillow.
Yes. Throw pillow, or just one cross stitch that is like specific to planes.
Yeah.
What? Can you write an inspirational self-help book that is just specific to seating on planes?
Well, I don't know. Like,
it's 17 chapters.
I do have a mindset where this is not always obviously the case, but I try to get a lot out of the hour, out of the moment. So like, when I'm with the girls in the car, I make sure I try to engage them. I try to have something good happen there. I'm focused on making a good thing maybe happen. It doesn't, obviously it backfires and sometimes it's manipulative or something, but I try to have that mindset, I guess, especially with my family.
Speaking of which, I'm sorry, since you brought up your daughters, can I bring up your errant text that you sent us earlier today? Is that something I can mention on there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Ophira and Pete and I are texting about gathering today to chat with you fine listeners. And Pete just sends some random, very mansplaining historical fact.
I know.
I'll read it.
It was can you just add in a well actually at the beginning to give it,
It's
tone?
implied. It's implied.
Okay.
It says, yes, because 4 times in our history, including twice in the past 2 decades, the candidate who won the most popular votes did not become president.
And I thought like, oh, Pete's having some very pedantic conversation with somebody who probably already knows this, but but apparently not. No,
Nope.
This was a helpful thing you were doing because you were helping your daughter cheat on a test. Explain yourself, Peter.
Yeah. And why are you allowed phones during a test? What kind of school is this person in?
So it wasn't cheating during a test. She had class time to work on an essay, and she asked me a specific question rather than looking it up. I wrote to you guys that she was cheating because I wanted to impress the older kids.
Okay.
I think
Right.
that you sent it to us because you know deep down inside this is wrong, and it's kind of eating you up. And there's no inspirational message sit beside you. We're sitting beside you now on this plane, and I'm going to set you straight. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. You know what? You write back. Look it up.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't a great situation where you accidentally text the wrong person, much less in this case 2 people. It doesn't usually. The worst thing I suppose is writing anything and accidentally texting someone you haven't talked to in years, because then that's even more upsetting. So I'm glad it was the 2 of you, and I don't have any regrets. It was, you're reading into
until it's like she gets kidnapped and they're say, we'll let you go if you can tell us how many times the president has received fewer votes than the challenger, and she never learned that information on her own.
That's right.
So she has nothing to fall back on, and then
Yeah. And wait till she gets everything wrong on that whatever exam that she's not pretending to do in class time, blah, 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 except for that one thing. And then someone takes her aside and goes, how did you know this one thing? What is she going to say? This is my specific area of interest.
So you're telling me you don't text your son any answers ever?
My son is 6.
Whatever. Move.
Cow goes moo.
I did, though, this morning see him in his, he goes to an arts-based school, and they had a performance, like a show of dancing and singing.
Oh, yeah? Did he perform?
He did.
How old is he?
6. He's in grade 1.
Before you say anything, I want to just liberate you to say it is the worst possible thing you've ever seen. And all the parents are looking at you like, oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. Right? Yes.
Okay. Yes. Although I will say this is an arts-based school. So some of the kids are either they're already involved in dance classes and music classes. But my son is really into, and he's just into sports and like wrestling and punching things and karate, honestly. So he looked so bored on stage. He looks so bored. And at first I was panicking, like, oh my goodness, all of the other parents are going to see that every other child is like performing and my kid looks bored. And then you know what my next thought was? Pete Dominic and Christian Finnegan, fellow performers. I thought, wait a second, what if my kid doesn't want to perform? And then the greatest sense of love and relief and redemption washed over me.
I'll show you, Mom. I'm going to become an accountant.
I thought, what a wonderful thing it would be if he does not enjoy this.
I can.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Worse than that is what would be worse than him wanting to do comedy or be a performer is what happened is I have to have this conversation with her about once a year. My 14-year-old Julia wants to be something far worse, which is to model. She wants to model, and I say no.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough road. It is a tough road.
Yeah.
And whatever
one who can do modeling.
I mean, I feel like whatever. I mean, just Instagram is hard enough on 14-year-old girls. I can't imagine just taking that up another level.
And I will say that every person I've known, and it's only been like 2 or 3 in my entire life who has made a living as a professional model, someone approached them and said, you need to model. Like, and because they haven't been the most attractive. I remember there's this girl who went to like my junior high and she was just really tall and gangly.
Yeah. Right. Because you're a hanger.
I would never have thought of her as being like particularly attractive or whatever, but someone like approached her in a mall and said, I am going to sign, like, I'm going to send you out on auditions.
but they approach everyone now. There's a whole photography scam.
Yes, there is.
My act, because at the mall they stop every kid, and you're watching them. You're like, some of these kids. You're like, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be.
Not everyone's fit for every job.
Kid has one eye.
That could be a whole thing.
Yeah.
You don't think eyepatches.com needs models?
Yeah.
Christian, Ophira, we have a hot tweet alert.
Hot tweet alert.
Yes, this week at Christ Finnegan had a tweet absolutely blow up. Wow. Let's talk about it. Hot tweet alert is brought to you by our comedy tour. So David Brooks, the New York Times columnist, celebrated conservative New York Times columnist, tweeted, "I fell in love with conservatism as a young man. What the hell happened to it?" And he linked to an article in The Atlantic. And Christian Finnegan quote tweeted, "Are you ready to read it, or should I hit it?"
You can go ahead and hit it. It's fine.
Whoa, I know this one. "Your mythical conservatism is a niche brand of elite narcissism incapable of winning national elections. So you used evangelicals, racists, gun nuts as electoral foot soldiers. But then, whoops, they became self-aware and realized they don't need you." David Brooks. I added the David Brooks.
Yeah.
Hot tweet. It is on fire at this airing. 10,000 likes, 2,500 RTs. This is what we call
Christian Finnegan.
Virality, baby.
What do you want to say?
Waiting for that money to roll in any day now.
You get $10 per retweet, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works.
It goes into escrow, I believe.
First time. Yeah. It's a great tweet.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It is. I loved it. When I saw that, sometimes, do you ever think about retweeting things? I'm a big retweeter of other people's thoughts, and that's basic my entire career. But you ever think about it? I didn't think about it. I was like, oh yes, share this one with everybody. That's a hot take. I like it a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
As is the case every time, and it's only happened maybe 7 or 8 times over the course of Twitter that I've had a tweet, or is it a treat?
It is a tweet treat.
It's a tweet treat.
It's a treat.
Every time something's gone viral, I end up like super resenting it and don't really enjoy the experience.
Why?
Because your phone is just constantly like, you're getting all these notifications and you're getting like comments. It starts going out to people. This one honestly was less bad than past ones. I didn't get as many people trying to like argue with me or fight me.
Right.
It was mostly kind of the Krasenstein follower crowd kind of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like there is kind of an industry of kind of liberal retweeters that grates on me just a hair. I just got to jump in to say how different we are. If I had a tweet that hot, I would cancel plans with my daughters to just sit and watch it.
Yeah, I would do the screenshot and then put it on the Instagram, share it to the stories, perhaps like talk about it in a Reels.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm the worst, because I've done none of that. But at the same time, I know exactly how many faves it has. So it's like, I'm not even above it, but I'm also not taking advantage of it.
So I know the whole point, as we all know, to these social media platforms is their whole point is to keep you on it for as long as possible, right? That's like, the point of Twitter existing. So if you just tweet out your thought and then, you can idly watch it, but you never look at the comments. You don't respond. Zero. Is that a way to, I don't know, have power over it? Instead of like, I know what you're saying, because then you have all these responses. It's going to be all over the place because that's how social media goes. Some of it's going to be really brutal. Some of it is going to be on the right side of history, but not what you were aiming at. Yeah. And then everything in between.
Well, and luckily, like I said, this one hasn't been as bad. The last one that this happened was like a couple months ago, or when Britney Spears got her freedom or whatever, and I tweeted a dumb Britney Spears joke, and it went sort of viral, and all these people started getting into arguments with each other in my
the best way
comments.
It's the best way, sure.
You know, and I'm completely divorced from this conversation that people are having, and I find that very unpleasant.
If a tweet doesn't start a boxing match, I think it's not worth anything.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's fascinating to talk about all of this in terms of how we feel about social media in general. But I would love to just ask one question about that tweet, because the way I see it, there are these so many kind of moderate, thoughtful, to some extent, conservatives, from Ross Douthat to David Brooks, or even like somebody like on Fox News, like Brett Baer, or somebody that was in Congress, Republican, that was thought of as moderate, even though maybe you didn't think that way, being eaten alive by the road they've been laying down. And it's happens over and over. And I wonder if you have one of your snappy metaphors for some kind of hippo just devouring them. But they lay this ground, and then they're like, what happened? And it outrages me, which is why I fell in love with that tweet.
well, now I have all this pressure to find a snappy metaphor, and I have nothing.
Yeah, just come up with it. No, write it quickly.
It's like you put crocodiles in your own moat, and then you're mad that you can't swim in it.
He did it. He did it.
Well
Does that work? Does that work? I don't know.
It had feudal undertones too. I enjoy that.
Thank you. Feudal undertones
own
is my
moat.
cologne that I've created.
Do you have any other thoughts on that tweet, which I think is a really big, thoughtful, important issue? But otherwise, I'll move on to.
I mean, it's a slightly simplistic view of things, I guess, but I don't think really. I think that's kind of, I just the sort of pearl clutching and the sort of willful obtuseness on the part of the David Brookses of the world, that's like, what you were doing, your brand of sort of rich guy Wall Street, like, oblige noblesse, this idea that, like, we rich people have to calm down, we have to slow down progress for the good of everyone, that sort of bat-packy narcissistic horseshit that the David Brookses of the world tell themselves. It's like, that wasn't going to win you even a local town council seat without the sort of electoral oomph of the local idiots and racists. And so you sort of held your nose for a long time, or just told yourself that you were different as you made common cause with these people who you knew are volatile and a problem and fascist leaning. And so I don't buy your, like, I was just in it for the intellectualism. It's like, well, no one, sorry that Skynet became self-aware and they don't need you.
I guess it's like the same thing people used to say about Playboy magazine, just over and over and over again.
I only read it.
I didn't get that.
Oh, just that it would always, like, all these guys be like, I read it for the articles. It was like the biggest joke, right? And it's just like the same thing. It's like, no. We know exactly what you're doing.
And then they tried to get nudity out of Playboy a few years ago. Remember they said there a couple of years ago, and it lasted like 6 weeks. And they're like, oh yeah, forget we said that.
Yeah.
I know. Ending. That's a tough read. But you gotta feel for him. That's
it does have to be weird to be Playboy, where it's just like, the nudity really is quaint and hilarious at this point. It's like,
right.
Oh wow, like she's coquettishly, topless or whatever. It's like, dude, I can go on my phone and see like 4 women have sex with a donkey, like, now. So
right, and then you can just pick what you're just like, I want to see one with redheads.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, just to mix it up.
Barnyard Bordello. Great site. Barnyard Bordello. Great site. Great time.
You know what they should do? Those, like, those flip books? That's what they should do to Playboy to spice it up.
Yeah, they have to flip the pages of the magazine.
Flip the pages to see the animation happen of the nudity.
On a trampoline jump up.
I also wanted to ask you both where you were and how you felt when you saw that Christmas tree go up in flames in front of Fox News. I mean, it was kind of like, the day you found out someone was assassinated. You remember where you were when you saw that tree aflame, didn't you? Ophira, you don't know about it.
No, I guess that was when I was at a Jewish laser meeting, and we were like,
oh, the coordinates were off. We got the Fox Christmas tree.
Exactly.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Try again, everybody. I mean, not bad. High fives.
We were trying to get an MSNBC, and it.
My favorite, I think, joke was that apparently a bunch of Fox News viewers thought it was a cross.
course. Of
Yeah,
course. Well, I mean, I guess that is, it's just the war on Christmas, right? Is that it? Was it to symbolize
Well, I mean,
the war
they're
on
acting,
Christmas?
you know, I haven't seen it, but just on scrolling Twitter and videos
Yeah.
that people are posting of the anchors, they're acting like it was like the night of broken glass. Like they're acting like it was this massive, tragic event that will like ring through history. The day the Fox Christmas tree was set on fire, and what is happening to this city, and our urban centers are overrun by chaos. Like,
Right.
or you know,
And now they have footage for years. Like every December, whatever 11th, they're going to be like, remember this, everybody. Let's never forget.
I thought it was great that it was the fire revealed that it wasn't actually a tree. It was just a metal frame with some just crap on it.
Yeah.
So take that as metaphor as you will.
It was like the tree from Bethlehem. Okay. They didn't have all the fancy stuff, Christian.
They just
Well,
had a big,
meanwhile,
fancy metal frame.
inside the building, Fox News superstar Tucker Carlson was trying to convince his right-wing counterpart in the UK, Nigel Farage, that getting COVID steals your life force and seems to feminize men. Have you heard about this?
Feminize men.
Yes.
All right. Well, how do we order it then? Can we just bottle it?
Well, I haven't watched the segment. I won't watch it in all likelihood. But it's like, well, then shouldn't you want to not get it then?
Yeah, that should be that should be the greatest thing to get people vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I do think that there are erectile dysfunction issues with some
Right.
men who get COVID, which is probably kind of in a roundabout way what he's talking about. But it's like, so you don't want masks, you know, you don't think people should have to get vaccinated, but COVID is also a plot to feminize men. Like the sort of tent posts that they lay out are so contradictory. There's just no ideological consistency to any of the arguments. It's almost like they're full of shit.
Almost, but to employ the unbelievable optimism and spin that I'm slowly learning from Pete Dominic, let's take a win out of this. They admit COVID exists.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It now exists and is doing something.
I had a less smart take, which was that I feel like, you know, what's it called? Man flu or man sick? Like when men get sick, they act like a lot weaker or
Babies.
Right. Like, I think that's a thing. I think I do that. Like my wife, like I'm pretty bad when I'm sick. And that, I guess, is equated. Maybe that's what they mean, that when we get sick, we act really kind of weak because we do. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe that's-
Right.
All right. Well,
Whatever it is, I just like that. Whatever is. I love that feminine is always associated with weakness. Keep going, everybody.
right.
Keep going.
Right.
No problem.
So thank you both very much. I want to wish you the best of luck this week, Ophira, on your trip to Portland,
thanks.
Oregon, a big gig out there. And Christian, I know you're getting some dental work this week. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
I know, and you're going to be my guinea pig because if you like it, I'm going to do it.
Oh, hey. Oh, wait. Before I go, I want to say that I did Ophira's Jeopardy show last week at Littlefield, which is her
So good.
incredibly legally unsanctioned game show based on a popular TV show you may have heard of. It was the most fun I've had on stage easily since before the pandemic started.
Oh, wow.
And I include the tape make of my own special.
It was such a good time.
It was such a good
You
time.
were awesome. By the way, Christian won.
I did. Big comeback. in the second half.
Unsurprised.
Yep.
That's why I don't want to do. We were talking about things we could do on our dates, and like mention like maybe some kind of trivia thing, like, and you host it, and it's me versus Christian. I'm like, I'm good. Like, why don't?
No, well,
Why does it-
No, you.
and also
but
though,
this-
I have a hard time. Like Ophira's show was fun
and
because
smart, and I'll
the
be
trivia
less.
part of it was kind of superfluous. I mean, it was more about the jokes and having fun and stuff. But if it's like a real trivia contest, I almost lose my ability to have a sense of humor because there's a part of me that's like, I must win the trivia,
Right. Well, okay.
because
Let
I'm not
me-
a real man, and this is
No,
not
let
man,
me
but-
host your trivia, Pete, because I like doing what we did in the show, like true or false. Like we do true or false. We did real or fake Hallmark movies. And you know what? This the audience got really drunk in the intermission and came back. They were the rowdiest, happiest nerds I've seen in a long time.
Mhm.
And we ran out of time and had to go to Final Jeopardy. And there were still 2 clues left in the real or fake Hallmark category. And people in the audience revolted and made us finish that category.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Very
Wait, does
invested
it
in Hallmark
exist?
movies.
Is there a recording?
Yeah, I have it on my phone, which is actually pretty good. It's almost like having a real camera.
I want to. Are you gonna? Can we watch it? Can we listen to it? Is that?
Yeah.
I know there's
Sure,
one
yeah,
clip
yeah.
that was floating around on Instagram, but
Yeah, we
that
put
was
out.
from
We
the
had a
audience.
live music act. Rachel Price and Taylor Aston from Lake Street Dive did one of the clues, and they sang a rendition. It was finished the lyrics, and they sang "All I Want for Christmas Is You." And Christian and the other 2 comics just naturally became backup singers and the audience too, to the point where people came up to me after the show and asked me how long we rehearsed it. And I was like, no, that just happened.
The spirit, the Christmas spirit.
So great. That is so great. And I hope that you're going to continue to do that or something like it or develop it. And
You're going to be on it. Be careful.
I don't know. Can I do it from the shed?
Maybe.
Let's go to the Jerk Shed now where Pete Dominic is. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. I hope. Thank you very much.
Toodles.
Thank you.